Sit!
Welcome to the Dynasty Nerds Fantasy Football Podcast, where we discuss Dynasty strategy, rankings, and all things NFL. So get ready to geek out on fantasy football with your host, Rich Dotson.
And welcome to the Dynasty Nerds Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm Rich Dotson. He's Matt O'Hara.
I mean, how do you follow that up? I don't even know. Hey, I guess.
Hey, Garret Price.
How's it going?
It's going swell. I'm excited. This is
Clearly
the last of our rookie breakdowns.
It always
the
feels
tight
good to be
ends.
done.
Yeah, we wrap it up nice and tight. Little pat on the end and send ourselves on our way.
Little pat on the end.
On a nerd show
Nice
next
and tight.
Yeah, nice and tight.
What are we doing today? Tight ends? Okay, sounds great.
Lost a thumb. So we are covering the tight ends, and next week we have about 4 players to cover on next week's Nerd Herd episode of players that we didn't cover, like a la Lan Larison, running back out of UC Davis.
We might like.
I watched this tape. I'm a fan. If you turn it,
It's me losing a thumb. I don't know.
I thought I was sitting next to David Copperfield.
Magic tricks.
Yeah, trying to show that to like, hey, you want to see a magic trick where I make my thumb disappear? She's gonna be like, nah, bro.
No, I don't.
I've practiced that trick before. It's unpleasant, or maybe it is pleasant. Who knows?
Who knows?
I don't know. Everybody's got their own quirks.
I guess
So
it all
got mine.
depends.
And Lan Larison, UC Davis, running back. I watched this tape today.
Well, don't give it away.
I'm a fan.
That's a whole different episode.
But like, if you tuned in last year's episode, like we talked up, I was a big fan of Tyrone Tracy. Talked him up big time. I got a ton of shares of him, and it panned out. We'll see how it goes for 2025. But for where you got him, if 2024, it's all I get. That's a huge success story. Put me on the cover of a paper.
Yeah, I mean, for grounds that are like 4 or 5, if you get one right every 4 or 5 years,
Yep.
that's a huge boost to your team. Huge.
Huge boost. Small thumbs, preferably.
For
If we're gonna go there,
Yeah.
please cut your nails. Be professional.
Jeez, oh man. Speaking of professional,
Let me see your nails.
no. Speaking of professional, this first guy I would say is a professional, right?
Well, before we get into this tight end class, before we go, I want to say my bold statement.
Are you really
I said.
going to? All right.
Yeah, because it's not fair. Because if it's not out there, nobody knows I said it. I told these guys.
Garrett and I know.
We do know.
Well, you guys do like,
But we'll
you
forget.
Yeah,
You're
we
saying
will.
that because
I mean,
you're
especially me.
those guys are your friends. I was like, dude, I got a bold prediction for the NFL draft.
It's very bold.
What is it? I was like, Treveon Henderson. One, I bet the over on 2.5 running backs going.
I can see that. I think that's a decent bet.
Okay, I bet that. My bold prediction is
Control B.
It's going to shock everybody. Do the mock drafts only, but not me, not from the tape. Treveon Henderson gets drafted higher than Amari Hampton in the first round of the NFL draft. It's my bold prediction.
See, while I think, obviously we were consensus that Treveon over Omarion for fantasy.
Yes.
I would, like, as an NFL GM, I would be Omarion over Henderson.
Agreed.
That's why you'd be on the
does,
sidelines.
He does more.
Fans. I'd be sitting there cuddling Super Bowl
He's a
trophies.
3-down type of guy that catch passes really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would be on that as well.
Yeah.
That's why you guys aren't bold, and I am. So we'll see.
Bold
we'll
Rich
see.
Dotson.
We'll see. Just remember here first. And if it doesn't happen, just another
forget.
just another podcast you listen
Just
to.
another,
Go and go.
Just a random Rich rant.
Just another blowhard.
I listen
moment.
to shows all the time, and I'm like, man, I got to remember that information. That's very useful. And then by the time I get home, I'm like, what did that guy say?
No idea.
I'm stupid again.
Dang it.
Drink hydrogen.
All right, Matt. I am drinking hydrogen water. It's my new thing. My wife was like, because I've been like since I turned 45, which is October. Like I was like, dude, I'm really gonna take my health pretty seriously from this point going forward. I was like, dude, 'cause when you turn 50, like it's downhill from there. Like I want to stay plateaued on the hill. I don't want to go downhill. I want to enjoy the view for a little bit.
I want to stay plateaued.
So like,
I appreciate the thought of it, but as far as like, think of that as like a motivational poster.
yeah,
Dude, that's because you're 10 years younger than us. You don't know.
yeah. You don't know, bro.
You don't know what it's like.
You don't know
man.
about this stuff.
To stay exactly the same today.
So like I've worked out since I was like, I don't know, me and Matt started working out together when we were like 16, 17.
Yeah.
We've pretty much worked out ever since, and I'm 45.
Sure.
I mean, there's been some windows where, I got a little, here and there. But so I started taking all these supplements, and my new big thing was like I ordered hydrogen tablets because I heard really good things about it, like for aging and inflammation, all this stuff. So like I'm gonna start. I've been doing 2 days.
I'm gonna look into the
hydrogen tablets
inflammation stuff because I've been having some like joint. That's why I was up all night last night. Was joint aches.
You're gonna like
my
this.
shoulder, my elbows were hurting.
When you go, I'll show you the bottle. So
Okay.
you don't worry about it.
Show me.
My wife's like, "Are you going through a midlife crisis?" Because I got to take all these supplements now. I intermittent fast. I've always intermittent fasted, but I did a 72-hour fast.
Yeah.
Now I take intermittent
I'm actually
fasting. I'm doing way more.
Starting my 72-hour fast tonight.
Nice. I'm gonna do it once every 6 months. I bought a sauna.
I restart my 72-hour fast every day.
There you go. There you go.
I'm not a faster.
I thought you just didn't eat for a second there. It's like you just restarted up. We're not eating today.
If you don't like it,
Every
it's
single day.
fine. I do minimum 16 hours. Once a week I do 24 hours, and then but I'm always like, "Are you going through a midlife crisis?" I'm like, "What part of me wanting to live longer and be healthy is a midlife crisis?" I'm just trying to live.
I'm just trying to be here for you.
Yeah, I want to be the person when I'm 59. I want to be like, "Oh wow, you're 59. You don't look 59." And inside I casually brush it off, but inside I'm glowing like the sun. I'm like, "Thank you so much. I feel so good. Please stroke my libido." All right, now we can talk tight ends. Sorry.
All right, so when you're 59, this guy will be about 36. Tyler Warren, Penn State, tight end, 6'5.5", 256 pounds, 9.5-inch hands. He's 22 years old, so I don't know if my math was right. Right now, today, my brain is only kind of half here.
Mid to late 30s.
Yep. So he didn't do any of the stuff at the combine last year at Penn State. He had a monster season. In 16 games, he had 104 receptions, 1,233 yards receiving, and 8 touchdowns. He also had 26 rushing attempts, 218 yards, and 4 more touchdowns. He did that on 135 targets. He only had 3 drops for a 2.8% drop rate, and he had 693 yards after the catch. So very impressive guy all around.
Yeah, impressive is a really good word to use for Tyler Warren. Him and Colston Loveland came out like neck and neck for me. I can go either way for these tight ends because they both have a really good, clear path of fantasy success. And they are the clear two. I will say this tight end class was a little bit more disappointing than when I heard. There's about 5 guys overall I liked, I kind of want. Tyler Warren, Colston Loveland are first round prospects for me in Superflex tight end premium leagues or just tight end premium leagues. The rest of the guys I probably want to grab in like, if it's tight end premium, maybe late second, high third.
I think there's some guys that are in that range.
Yeah,
for sure.
in that range right around there. I want the NFL draft to really solidify that. You know, definitely get some second round pedigree there. But Tyler Warren's a really nice, impressive. I mean, he's not just a tight end. I mean, this guy's like an offensive ecosystem, right? Like he does it all, and we saw that
H-back, slot,
Yes.
out wide. He even was wildcat quarterback
Yes.
at times.
Yes.
Everything, right?
very impressive on his usage. Won the Mackey Award for the best tight end in college football. Was a top 10 in the Heisman finalists, which is impressive. Rewrote the history books for Penn State there at the tight end position,
which is a great school for tight ends.
Yeah,
Yep.
Absolutely. So I mean, his tape is just a do-it-all like masterclass. Like he's a nightmare against tight ends or linebackers. I apologize there. So like, I mean,
and against other tight ends.
That's right. He'll beat him one-on-one.
Leonard Fournette, get out of the way. So even like at Wild, I mean, he had 4 rushing touchdowns, had a passing touchdowns. I thought he got the snap really well. His early quickness to beat the linebackers underneath.
Speaking of snap, I saw him snap the ball once also. Did you guys see that one?
I don't recall that one.
That was a weird one.
Snap the ball?
He snapped the ball. Yeah, there was like they did one
like
weird,
I was thinking like over his knee. Like I was like,
no, he did
what?
like a shotgun snap.
Gotcha.
in the one play.
Okay, yes.
It was a very odd formation.
Yes, I know what you're talking about now. I was like, was it a touchdown celebration or what?
That'd have been great.
Yeah.
Snap a ball over.
I saw Lan Larison today. They snapped the ball to the quarterback, and he like jumped out real quick and grabbed the snap and then ran. That was pretty sweet. But anyways,
He said,
Tyler Warren, his hips are really nice. I mean, gets in and out of his breaks really smooth too. So he's nice there. You watch him against USC, he'll split out wide. He juked a corner on a slant and then stiffed arm to safety for a touchdown. Pretty sexy. His ball skills, elite. Catches everything. And what really, being the tight end slut I am, that really got me, you could say,
feeling slutty.
aroused was, dude, when this guy runs a seam route against linebackers, it's a thing of beauty. Because to me, he's almost unstoppable there. Like he's able to stack the linebacker really nice. And the quarterback's good enough and they can place the ball on him, he's very good over the shoulder catches there, putting on the numbers, like really good. And he'll shrug off these linebackers pretty well. pretty easily. I mean, I saw many games where he was able to track the ball in the air. What else do I have that I love? That's pretty much like he's a mauler, right? That's what he is. He's not a burner, so he's not going to get a ton of separations at the next level. I saw some physical coverage against him. At times could throw him off. Not too much. He's a big guy.
The same thing. Yeah. Like if a dude's draped all over him, I mean, he'll drop those kind of contested catches, but he makes most of the normal ones.
So for me, I mean, overall, and going to this note with this real strong feeling, Tyler Warren and Colston Loveland are probably going to be top 25 picks in the NFL draft.
Easily.
I feel really good about Tyler Warren and where he comes from. I know you compared him to a little bit more of George Kittle, which I thought was a really good comp. George Kittle, rookie season, Sam Laporta, that kind of caliber tight end.
Yeah.
Him as a number 2 weapon in an offense is going to be a really nice weapon to have. He's going to be a PPR. Him and Loveland are both going to be really nice PPR tight ends. Over the last couple of years, we've been blessed to have a couple tight ends that we really like. Most of them kind of panned out, and I think we have 2 coming in this year that are ready to enter that echelon to try and fight to be that one of those top 5 guys. Because even though they keep coming in, we're having a hard time nailing these guys to the floor of being consistently elite. We'll see if Laporta could bounce back this year. But Tyler Warren has all the makings of a very nice, and he's well-rounded. Where Colston Loveland's a big receiver, Tyler Warren's just a well-rounded tight end where you actually have him play in line and block if you need him to.
I agree that he can play anywhere. I mean, he's shown that. I think the one thing that I will add that you didn't really talk about, I think, is with him with the ball in his hand, he's a tough guy to take down. You know what I mean? He's very you kind of alluded to it, but he is like a wrecking ball when he gets the ball in his hand. So I do want to add that, but I don't have much to add other than that because you nailed it. I think the evaluation is dead on right there.
And I saw Lance Zierlin's comp. I thought it was actually probably one of the better comps too. Jeremy Shockey.
Yeah, I could totally see Jeremy Shockey.
That's a really good. He has a little bit of that dog. I mean, obviously
he's got the attitude of it.
Shockey was like a dog.
Yeah,
but Tyler Warren kind of reminds me of that a little bit.
Yep, I agreed with that.
Well, and the thing that's nice about him too is it's not just he's a really good tight end. When you look at nationally how scouts are evaluating this class, he is constantly put into that blue chip group. Here's the elite players regardless of position. And Ashton Genty tends to be in there, Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, those guys are kind of all in this, they're elite regardless of position. They are blue chip players. Tyler Warren is almost always being included into that group.
And Loveland.
And Loveland as well. So I think that's something else that's kind of nice is it's not just hey, it's there's a lot of guys that are just this class, but these guys are better than those guys. No, these guys are good, period, in this draft class. So they're going to be taken very highly. I hope Tyler Warren goes to a place where they can be creative with him and they're going to use him in a lot of different ways, because if he's just used as a traditional tight end, that's fine. And he'll still be very good at that and he'll do well, but it would be removing part of what makes him so special.
Yeah, he's a chess piece out there. He's the ultimate chess piece because you can line him up literally anywhere, out wide, in the slot, in the backfield. I mean, he did a lot of H-back type of stuff as well. If he lands with a creative offensive coordinator, I agree. That's the perfect kind of situation.
It's almost disappointing, and they ended up signing Evan Ingram already and whatnot because they knew that this guy would be gone. But I would love to see him in Sean Payton's offense.
Yeah.
Had they been picking at 8 or something like that instead of at 20,
he wouldn't have gotten there even if they didn't sign Ingram.
And that was
right. But that's what I'm saying. If they were picking at 8 or instead of 20 or something like that, I would have loved to have seen him.
I've seen a lot of mocks
kind of
for him
offense.
going to Chicago. Lately,
that would be an interesting one. See how Ben Johnson uses him.
I wouldn't love that though, because there's just so many other weapons.
There are so many. I want them to take a running back. I would love to see a running back there.
Treveon Henderson.
Whoa, that would help your prediction come true. That's for sure.
Yeah, because that'd be right.
So the only somewhat knock I had to be kind of nitpicky because he's so freaking good. Route running is just okay.
Yeah, you're right. I saw him get schemed open quite a bit.
Yeah.
So that is kind of a little bit of an issue, but I don't think it's something that he couldn't overcome.
No, not at all. I think, and I'll get to Loveland in the next episode, so make sure you listen to that and kind of comparing and contrasting them. I'll save that for there. But yeah, that is the only thing really that I'm like, if you're looking at him from, you know, the true receiver perspective, there's a little bit of nuance that he just doesn't have, but it's more of his style of play where he's not going to be as refined. He's more of that heavy metal more than that smooth jazz.
Yeah, we'll get into that when we talk about Colston Loveland. Kind of, it is those two, and to me, it's neck and neck. I would have no argument.
It's very close.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I had something to say and then I lost it. So I'm
He's gone.
He's gone for sure. All right. So next up, Harold Fannin, Bowling Green tight end, 6'3"1/4", 241 pounds, 9 1/4 inch hands. He's only 20 years old. He'll be 21.
Youngest tight end in the whole class.
Yeah, in July. At the combine, he ran a 4.71 in the 40. He had a 1.56 10-yard split. He did the 20-yard shuttle in 4.39, a 3-cone in 6.97. Very impressive.
Really good.
Very impressive.
And that kind of goes in hand with what we talked about earlier.
A broad of 118 inches, 34-inch vertical. Last year at Bowling Green, he had a monster season as well. In 13 games, he had 117 receptions, 1,555 yards receiving,
Bonkers.
10 touchdowns. He also had 9 rush attempts for 65 yards and another touchdown. He did that on 150 targets. He had 4 drops for a 3.3% drop rate, and he had 873 yards after the catch.
150 targets in college. That's an absurd number.
50% of the team's
targets
yards. Yeah,
that's nuts.
Correct.
So it's mine to start, but maybe I'll just take the next one because Rich, I know you're a lot higher on Harold Fannin than I am, and it feels like an injustice for me to go first.
Oh,
so
I was just sitting here the whole time. I was like, I'm going to wait my time and completely just shit on everything he just says and refute everything he just says.
No, so I'm going to let you start, and then I'll tell the people why to temper your expectations a little bit.
Yeah. So, I mean, Garret and I were talking earlier in the day, and he said he didn't like Fannin, and I actually did like Harold Fannin. Now, I also want to impress him by saying, you know, I like Harold Fannin. He's my tight end 3 in his class, but that group is like 2 tiers behind Loveland and Colston. But you mentioned, Matt, the 117 catches for 1,555 yards. He led college football in both categories. Both of those were FPS tight end records, mind you. He was MAC Player of the Year, first tight end ever to ever do that. And listen, the biggest thing you're going to hear about Fannin is he's a linear receiver. He's got tight hips. I mean, his hips are like your girlfriend's dad shaking your hand on prom night, and he knows you got a condom in your pocket. Like, he's not happy. And
firm? Firm, I think is what.
That is firm.
Yeah, tight. He's a grip of tight. You call it firm? I'm trying to, come on. Don't ruin my analogy.
Oh, I was trying to figure out what the word was at the end. You never gave us the punchline.
He's tight.
Okay.
Hips. But what's weird about, and again, his 3-cone shows a 6, like you would never guess he ran a 6.97 3-cone. Like you would have guessed that.
I think he has some pretty good suddenness. I don't know.
I agree. Yeah. His tight hips are going to like limit his route running ability. But when you put the ball in his hands, he does have some suddenness. He has that like over dramatic, like plant your foot, stop and cut. Like it's almost like
a dead leg.
Almost like Deion Sanders out there, right? And
I don't know.
Did Deion Sanders?
No.
He played mostly defense.
in slow motion. In slow motion.
I'm very confused at this comp.
I love the back pedal right there. That's Deion. Deion's the back pedal.
Well, see, I mean, he's not as fast, but like again, he's fast enough, and you saw it on tape to get it done. I mean, I know it's against Old Dominion, but 12 catches, 189 yards, and he was just like really weaving through those zones. And that's my biggest thing that I really saw about Fannin is the way he was able to attack zone. And I told you that earlier. I was like, man, I thought he did a really good job attacking zone, constantly finding the soft spot in the zone and facing the quarterback and getting it done. I love the way he was able to block, roll off his blocks, and immediately show his quarterback his numbers, get the ball in his hands, and move. I like that actually when he got in the ball in his hands, he was way more fluid than you would think he was. Like I said, he had some of that suddenness, that stop-start ability, which I was really impressed. I thought he had his stats. Oh, I saw Warren Sharp put out something there. 29% missed tackle rate. 29%, which I thought was pretty impressive there. He averaged 4.1 yards per route against the zone as well to kind of validate that. And a lot of people are like, well, it's at Bowling Green. No, he was very consistent across the board against every game. And then actually against Texas A&M, Boise, and Penn State, he had some of his better games outside the Old Dominion game. Really good hands, catches everything. All over, hand catcher.
Yep.
Nothing really gets by this kid. But again, I mean, his kryptonite, it's going to be his stiffness. His lower body tightness it's gonna ruin that route tree a little bit there. You can see, which again, you could press players like that, or usually a tight hip too. You could press those a little bit, but like again, you line him up at tight end, inside the line in the slot, like he's going to do really well. I thought I saw a player that moved pretty damn well for how stiff he was, and I came away impressed at, like, again, how he's able to stop and move and get players to miss and do it against Penn State and these bigger schools and gain yards after the catch consistently. So it wasn't like a fluke thing where, yeah, he had a lot of catchers, but like he wasn't manufactured like some other tight ends we're talking about,
Sure.
like a Terrance Ferguson. Like he was not manufactured. He played at all three levels of the field. So I came away really impressed with that, his youth and his ability there to get it done. So for me, I see a player, if he can come in here and be the number 2, I'm really excited to see where he gets drafted in the NFL draft.
That's going to be really big for him.
I would love to see him like be the heir apparent to Kansas City. You know, like if he ends up in Kansas,
who wouldn't?
Travis Kelce. I mean, of course, who wouldn't? But like, I think he could fit that mold really well. Like they had that report, Pat Mahomes. He's a really nice player. Could he be boomer bust? I feel like outside of Colston Loveland and Tyler Warren, a lot of these guys can be boomer bust because there's a lot of flaws with the rest of these guys. Mm-hmm. But if I'm going to gamble on one of them, from what I saw strictly on tape, which is an absolute pleasure to watch this guy's tape, I'm going to bet on a guy who did something no tight end has ever pretty much done in college football and did it consistently week in, week out. It wasn't one of these fluky games against just a really small schools because he played at Bowling Green. It was every single week against some of the high division players as well. Again, his route run ability, him getting off the line, his stiffness is a concern. I feel like he reminds me of a player that I did not like at all, actually. But
to come full circle.
But a player that like what you hoped a player that I described like if he turned into a tight end and he worked at that, his ceiling I think was what Harold Fannin is actually, and it's Devin Funchess.
Okay. I honestly don't think he's as stiff as Devin Funchess. I know you're like ranting about how stiff he is. I think maybe it's the explosion.
I'm trying to get everybody ready for Garrett over here.
Maybe it's the explosion kind of in and out of some of those breaks that makes him seem less stiff to me or something, because I was okay with his routes. I'm not as down on him as you are.
I'm not down. I think he's talking about him.
No, I'm talking about you didn't like his routes. I didn't think his routes
okay.
I didn't think his
stiff.
routes were bad. I think he had nice explosion kind of at the top of some of those breaks. You mentioned the kind of after the catch and all that. I think he does have good speed to kind of outrun guys and juke them a little bit, but he also isn't afraid to mix it up and get a little bit physical as well.
Oh, yeah.
On some defensive backs. My main question is, and it's always, sometimes it's overblown, a 6'3" tight end, 241 pounds. Is the guy big enough? I think he's a big enough playmaker to kind of overcome that, so it's not that big of an issue. Most guys you want to see it 6'4", 6'5". But I don't know. I like Harold Fannin. I don't love Harold Fannin. I thought when I saw 1,500 yards plus, I was going to really, really like his tape. I like it, but I don't love it.
And I agree. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it enough to be my third tight end in this draft class. There's a lot of good running backs in this class too.
Yeah, I don't know if the upside is there, but I like him. I don't like.
He's the kind of guy in the right offense could be tight end like 6, 7 consistently.
I see a very
could he be Gerald Everett? Maybe. Could he be?
Come on, don't
could he be
poop on
better?
it.
I mean, you know what I mean. Like that's where I'm like kind of.
And that's the
teetering.
hard part. Like if his ceiling is a Gerald Everett, like how excited should we really?
Yeah, not excited at all. If that's how you're going to describe
So
it.
and it's interesting because like this year I feel like maybe even more than most years.
For fairness, that could be like his basement.
Floor?
Oh, so that was a floor comp?
Yeah, that was a floor,
that's
not
a
a
good floor.
ceiling.
That's a good floor. That's a
Okay.
good floor. Hardwood.
I think his floor is lower than that. I think there's a lot of bust potentially
Okay.
in his game. I think that would be like maybe
I think I could argue
average
that
comp.
Gerald Everett's pretty much bust too, man.
He had moments. He had flashes.
Who?
Gerald Everett.
Gerald Everett.
Oh yeah, he's.
So I feel like this year more than most years,
fantasy, he stinks.
we have been maybe the most in lockstep that we've ever been as far as like how we viewed the running backs, how we viewed the wide receivers. I feel like this is the one where I'm like the furthest from you guys on out of all of this. Like, I really did not like his tape very much. I think he's crazy tight-hipped. You saw a lot of stuff, like even some clips of the Senior Bowl. You'd watch like other tight ends, and then him, and it would look like a giant ship trying to like turn like in the ocean. Like, it was like these huge rounded, like it did not look good. So I don't like his route running really at all. So we're banking on a guy that is undersized, not as athletic. You know, we're in a 4.71. So he's not like, I do think he has good get off. I'll agree with that. I think his initial burst is good, but I don't think he has great long speed. So I don't see like,
I agree with that,
a ton of big plays. And
None of these guys.
you need to have one of two things to be a successful tight end. You either need to, what he did in college, get force fed the ball, but chances are we're looking at what round do you guys think he's going to be drafted? Third. Okay. So I think that I would see more as a fourth, but
fourth. Yeah.
Okay.
Third or fourth.
So most offenses are not force feeding a third or fourth round tight end the football. So then you have to be like an end zone target. And at 6'3", he doesn't profile traditionally. And I don't think he has like insane leaping skills or anything like that to say like he's going. So I just don't really see the real path for relevance here. I think he's just a fun player that did put up numbers in college, and we see that at different positions where guys will just right offense, right system, right time, all of that. And it comes together and they put up numbers, but they don't necessarily have like NFL bodies or they don't have NFL skill sets. Like I think he has solid hands, but he's not like go up and get it, amazing contested catch guy. So like, I just don't see the path for him to be overly relevant. Like I think his ceiling is like tight end 13, 14.
Wow, that's not a ceiling. That's not even a ceiling.
That's the thing. Like, I just don't see do I think he could be better than David Njoku is right now? Do I think he could be better than Jake Ferguson is right now? Do I think he could be like, I don't know, like who's he going to pass?
What's the answer to either one of those?
Huh?
No. He's at 10 and 13.
Right. No.
Well, it's just another player that we're going to be able to rip on Garrett for being wrong against. Can't wait. I'm a fan. I want to temper because I don't want to say it like, oh, this guy's he's a first round grade for me. No, I think he's like player.
I think he's my tight end 5 or something like that.
Oh, he's my tight end 3.
I know.
I'm fine with tight end 5. I'm fine with that.
I think that's
there's only 5 guys you like.
Well, I don't even know that I have him at 5, but I'm fine with him being at 5.
He's my 17th overall rated player, Harold Fannin, in Superflex tight end premium league.
He doesn't crack my top 36.
But he's in the same tier of like the guys going down. Like he's in the same Jalen Royals tier.
But you have him above Royals?
I do for now because tight end premium. Again, for me, this tier, these guys are all so close. Like, okay, he's in the same tier I have as Matthew Golden. People say I was stupid for that, but like he's in that tier.
I just don't see how he could be in that tier with those guys. Like, I just don't.
Because I like his tape. And when this tier, I think this tier here from Jalen Noel starts with and ends with Elijah Arroyo. This tier will get broken up into either 2 tiers or 3 tiers even.
Okay.
But these are the guys who are all so close. I have them ranked in order how I would take them.
Sure.
But like the NFL draft is like, there's no set in stone here. That's why I kind of put them in tiers.
Yeah, I get you.
But yeah, I mean, I like Jalen Royals too. But again, if it's tight end premium, like I'm a tight end slut. I'm always going to try and find that guy who's going to give me the edge. I like to grab those guys. Now, if Harold Fannin ends up going in the 4th round to a team that's just okay, then yeah, Harold Fannin's going to draft to the whole bottom of that tier.
I think for me though is like what for you, what is a ceiling? Because that's the thing. Like if I'm going to take a tight end in the first 2 rounds, even in a tight end premium, if I'm taking a tight end in the first 2 rounds of my rookie draft, I need to see that there's at least a glimmer of hope of being a top 3 to 4 guy. Yeah. If there's not at least a glimmer of hope of that, then it's just not worth it.
Let me bring up, I'm trying to
see like a Delaney Walker, like undersized, but crazy sort of usage.
Like a Jonnu Smith season.
Yeah, sure.
I think it could be, like a Jonnu Smith.
Also like a 6'3".
He's an undersized tight end. I think he just Moves a lot
I
better.
could fall in the category. I think he live
He's
in that.
overall faster. I don't know that he moves a lot better, but he's overall faster.
I think he could. I think again. I don't think his ceiling is internet elite group of the 5, right? But like I think he has a ceiling of being like tight end 7 for a couple of years, like in that range, not even longer. I'd like a tight end 7.
Like, why take him there then?
Because that's value, dude.
It's not.
Yes, it is.
In the first 2 rounds, like taking tight end 7 versus taking tight end 13, there's no difference.
Who said 2 rounds? I mean, what if he falls down when it's all said
You
and
have him
done?
at 17.
I know, but when the draft is over, it depends where he goes. He's go down to 29. Like there's 10
I'm
guys
fine at
behind
29.
him. Yeah, so
but my problem is 17.
that's fine too. That's fine. I have him here on the upside of where I think it'd be, which is gonna be like tight end 6, tight end 7, right around in the right offense. And for me, that holds value in tight end premium leagues when everybody is always chasing that young tight end that shows some promise, right? So like if he shows some promise, he finishes his rookie year or sophomore year as tight end 7. That's value.
Oh,
in
for
Dynasty.
sure. That's huge value.
So that's my point. Like
if he does.
If he does. You don't think he can? I do. So what my point is, like, if I think he can get there, that's a huge return. Either I keep him or that's a huge return I can get because people are going to give you a first round pick for that kind of guy. So that's where I view him. I think he has really good ball skills. And I like him in open field movement. I think for a guy who is as tight as we're talking about, not as Matt is, but you and I are talking about, I thought he moved really well in the open field. And Matt saw the same thing with his son and his stop-start ability. I thought he did enough. I think his stats of the missed tackle rates kind of show that as well. So I think there's enough there with him. Once he gets the ball in his hands, there's enough there for him to be very, very fantasy relevant. Where's he going to go, and will he get the ball enough to make that a point? Now, to be fair, that's almost all the tight ends we're talking about. Are you involved in the offense enough to be fantasy football relevant? That's what it differentiates that top 5 consistently. Then these guys are always poking their head into the group.
And just for reference, we spoke about it a little bit on the wide receivers when I was kind of comparing ADOT to their average yards per reception, and he had an ADOT of 7.8 and yards per reception of 13.7. So he is doing some
Obviously
stuff
after the catch,
and he's making people miss.
And it showed on tape, and the missed tackle rates there too. So like I think you and I just saw 2 completely different players here. And
you know what? I was looking at the wrong one. That was Terrance Ferguson. He was 7.5 and 13.3. So just to clarify, similar. That's I knew it was close to that anyway. So that's why.
So
we're about to get to Terrance Ferguson.
Yeah,
that's why I switched over. That's
maybe be right and maybe wrong. I mean, but worst case, we meet in the middle, and he's tight end 10, and it's still. And my point is, I think he is upside to be somebody you actually put. If you're tight end 10, you're a startable tight end, right?
Absolutely.
I think he has the potential. Definitely being only 20 years old and what he's done. Again, you can't discount what he did at the collegiate level as well. I think there's enough there for me to want to gamble on.
I think that's the difference for me. If I don't see a ceiling of a top 3 to 4 guy, I'm not gambling him anywhere near my first 2.5, 3 rounds.
Okay. Well, I always gamble on the tight end, so I'm always going to rank. And I admit it, I always rank tight ends a little bit higher, and I always take them a little bit higher because I think that's a difference in the edge on your opponent. So who's next?
Next up is Terrance Ferguson, Oregon tight end, 6'5" 3/8", 247 pounds, 9 1/4 inch hands. He's 22 years old. He just turned 22 in February. At the combine, he ran a 4.63 in the 40, a 1.55 10-yard split. He had 122-inch broad jump, 39-inch vertical. Last year at Oregon, in 12 games, he had 43 receptions, 591 yards receiving, 3 touchdowns. He didn't have any rush attempts. He did all that on 65 targets, 4 drops for an 8.5% drop rate, so a little bit higher than everyone else. 387 yards after the catch, so another pretty decent chunk of his yards came after the catch.
Yeah, and part of that was because he caught a lot of stuff really close to the line of scrimmage, but
A lot of understatement.
Terrance Ferguson, he was a guy that's kind of been on radars for a little bit. Got some love in Devy circles, C2C circles, and then unfortunately last year he dealt with that injury. 2 seasons ago, he dealt with that injury, kind of threw things off a little bit.
What was the injury?
He had a leg injury in. Was it 20? Let me look up the stats real quick.
Because he's played 14, 13, 14, 12, so I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I know he had an appendectomy this year. He missed 2 games.
I'll look after I'm done talking here. Yep. But he had a lower body injury at some point, either in 22 or 23.
I'll look while you're talking.
That kind of set him back a little bit, and he had some recovery time, and you kind of noticed it in his game a little bit that he had lost a little bit of his ability due to that injury. But he came back this year, had a nice season overall. I think this is another one of those players that doesn't have a crazy high ceiling. We'll get to a couple guys that have a little bit higher ceiling, I think, than a Terrance Ferguson. But he does do a lot of the necessary things to be a quality NFL tight end. He's got solid hands. He can do a little bit after the catch. He's got the requisite size that you kind of look for in a tight end. So there's a lot of like good things in his game. The problem is there's nothing that screams potential in his game. And that's the hard part, is there's going to be a lot, like we don't do nerd scores for tight ends. If we did, there'd be a lot of like 6s to 7s and a lot of like average to maybe slightly above average things for a college player. But how well does that translate to the next level? And I don't think it really does. So I think this screams like, hey, he's going to get on a roster, has a chance to maybe even become the team's top tight end at some point, but it'll be one of those players that for fantasy purposes is tight end 18, tight end 20.
Will Disley.
Yes.
But not Will Disley's a much better blocker.
So that's, yes. And he's not going to offer much in the run blocking game.
No, he does not.
He's mostly just a pass catcher. And even that, like his routes are fine, but they're nothing special. He's a little stiff.
Stiff, yep.
So good player, but not anybody I'm prioritizing in fantasy football.
Agreed. Despite the fact that I think his 4.63 was the best at the combine. by tight
Yeah,
ends.
which we had a lot of tight ends that didn't run.
Yeah.
At the combine, especially like the bigger names. But yeah, he had one of, if not the best time.
Yeah. So I think he, upright type of route runner, right? So he didn't sink his hips too much. But I thought, obviously the speed helped and he got some separation out of that. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I thought I would call him like pesky after the catch. I don't know that he's making anyone miss, but he's going to outrun some guys. He's going to kind of grind out some tough yards, but nothing crazy. But it still accounted for 387 yards out of his 591, which is like a 65% of his yards came after the catch. So there's at least
Pretty easy when you catch it to one.
There were a lot of screen passes and all that guys, like right at the line of scrimmage. But yeah, obviously the blocking is going to be a bit of an issue for this guy. So I don't know. Like you said, Garrett, I agree with you. I'm not going to prioritize this guy. If he falls to me at the right part of the draft, 4th, 5th round of drafts, that's when I start feeling pretty good about this guy.
Yeah, it's when I had to scoop up tight ends too.
Yeah.
Like at the back end, I just grabbed those guys, stashed them, get them off my roster.
And I think he's just going to be another guy. You know what I mean? You just hope for the best and hope for a big share 1 year.
Now, could Terrance Ferguson turn like...
It was during the spring game that he injured himself.
I was going to say, I couldn't find anything other than the appendectomy.
Yeah, it was during the spring game that he injured himself, and he didn't miss much time during the season, but he started real slow.
Was it a knee injury or something?
Yeah, it was a lower body injury. Okay.
And I'm going to echo a lot of pretty much everything you guys said with Terrance Ferguson. I will say that, I thought he had really good body control. I thought he high pointed the ball really well. I think his best attribute is his hands, bar none. He's one of those players I could see if Terrance Ferguson ended up being a good tight end, a fantasy tight end, like a solid guy you start every single week, like, oh, Terrance Ferguson, I got Terrance Ferguson. You draft him as your tight end 1 because he's tight end. It wouldn't surprise me. I'll say that. But I do kind of doubt that as well. 90% of this guy's catches were at the line or within 6 yards of the line. 90% might be an understatement, to be honest.
He was. I read off the ADOT. It's 7.8 is his average depth of target, and that's. There must have been some long ones that I was missing to get that up that high. And
I felt the same way. This is one of the players, I watched 3 games of his, and tight end's the only position I actually do this for is after I watch all their tape, and I do my notes just on tape, I actually go watch their highlight tape as well. It's the only position I do it to because watching tape, you watch 3 or 4 games. A lot of these guys, like him, they're catching 3 balls for 50 yards.
Yep.
That's not enough for me to really
it's blocking. Oh, look, he's going to leak out on this one.
Yeah.
All right. You know what I mean? It's not a lot there.
So I don't have time to watch every game they played. So I want to watch their highlight tape because the highlight tapes, for the most part, are going to show you every catch they made and most part good ones. What I saw with Terrance Ferguson was something I did not see on the tape was he did a really nice job in the end zone. Diving catches, extending for the ball. Mm-hmm. Saw probably about 8 touchdown catches there that he looked really nice there, which was pretty impressive. But besides that, his routes aren't much. He's not much after the catch. He doesn't have any burst or any long speed there. You mentioned the injuries. I really did like his hands though, and a couple catches he made away from his body. Mm-hmm. The most impressed I really came in with, because I had him actually a lot lower, but when I watched his highlight tape, he did make a couple really nice plays in the end zone, like dive and catch, like really nice. And I came away, I was like, well, that's a skill set I can get behind.
And tight end is one of those ultimate projection type of positions from college to the NFL, because I feel like the usage team to team is so different.
Oh, yeah.
And even college to the pros is
so
different. Yeah.
It's such scheme for everything. Everybody's going to run their, some tight end offenses don't even utilize a tight end at all. So I think him not being able to block well at all is going to hurt his draft stock as well, because then you're looking for him literally be, the lineup out, and even that he doesn't really excel at that though. So I love his hands. I love his body control. I love the way he's out there going to get the football. That's about it. I'm with you. Like everything you said about Harold Fannin, like same thing. You're like, oh, I'll gamble on the 4th and 5th. Yeah, that's where I'll gamble on a guy like Terrance Ferguson. But
sure,
nice player compared to some, but like not the upside that I'm really hoping for.
Yep,
I guess.
Yep, I think very solid all the way around, but ceiling is just limited.
All right, let me tell you guys about my friends over at FastDraft Fantasy. We've been talking about how they've been growing. They've been a partner of ours now for a couple of weeks, and they actually have their regular seasons open up here soon. All their regular in-season contests are starting to go. But right now, you have less than a week to get into their rookie contests, which are
so fun.
Super fun. Like you create your rankings, you get in there. The draft takes literally 5 minutes, and you're out. You're out of there. It's a rookie-only tournament, super fast. Use that knowledge you're gaining from all these tight end episodes and receivers and running backs and quarterbacks and put to use to win some cash. And the Origin drafts, they're filled up 70% already. So if you don't want to wait there as well.
And I think they're even more. Last I heard, they're like over 90%. So if you want to get in on it, like people have been crushing it the past few days, getting in there.
So it's, again, if you like best ball and you're looking for another place to be best ball, little tweaks to it, FastDraft is for you. And all you got to do is go to download the app, FastDraft app, or go to draftfaster.com and download it. And make sure you use the promo code NERDS. If you use the promo code NERDS, a lot of good things are going to come your way. 1, they're going to match your deposit up to $50. 2, you're going to get a free year membership to the Nerd Herd. So you're going to get access to the Nerd Score, the Nerd Score Plus, the Dynasty Nerds Film Room for 12 months to get you for this rookie season and next rookie season. You're going to get the bonus podcast so you don't miss out on our takes on like Lars Larson. Mm-hmm. Land Larson.
Just now it's Lars.
You're gonna get a Dynasty. Yeah, play drums up for Metallica, and you're gonna get in there and get the Dynasty GM app, which has so much coming this summer. It's gonna blow your mind. It's already the best Dynasty app out there. League Analyzer is my favorite tool in the world. Check it out. You can download that for free and check it out. But you're gonna get a free year membership for that. All you gotta do is deposit $10. Play one game, you're going to get an email a week later, within a week or a couple days later for free access. If you're already a Nerd Herd member, don't worry. We're going to give you a free coupon for a free shirt. We're the most comfortable shirt in the world. So check them out. FastDraft, download the app, promo code NERDS, get all that sweet, sweet stuff.
And got to make sure we mention FFPC. We talk about them all the time because it is an amazing place to play your fantasy football. And look, if you want to make sure that you go to a place where a league's not going to fold, this is the place. They have the most reliable leagues. You can trust them. They're going to stand the test of time. And you could play in a smaller league, $35 league, and of course we'll give you the $25 off if you use promo code NERDS. But you could go there and be like, look, I want to have more skin in the game. I feel like I dominate a lot of these leagues, and I wish I got more money for doing it. Well, you go in there, you can pick a league that's $2,500 entry fee. That's right. You're getting a good chunk of change if you win that kind of league. So head over to myffpc.com. That's myffpc.com. Use the promo code NERDS, and you'll get $25 off today.
Awesome. So back on to the tight ends here. Elijah Arroyo. Jeez, oh man, oh. Is it both the Miami guys that I cannot pronounce?
You don't like Miami guys?
I guess not. All right.
Ends in O. Uh-oh. Matt O'Hara.
I know, you would think. But anyway, tight end, Miami, 6'5" and an 1/8, 250 pounds, 10-inch hands. He's 22 years old. He just turned 22 at the beginning of April. He didn't run anything at the combine or do any of the drills, but last year
except the bench.
Oh, he did. He benched.
22 reps.
Why do I not have that?
He's got
Was
big
that
hands.
pro day?
No, that was a combine.
Oh, how the heck did I miss that? All right. Anyway.
Random one thing that he did.
Yeah, right. So last year in 13 games at Miami, he had 35 receptions, 590 yards receiving, and 7 touchdowns. He did that on 47 targets with only 1 drop for a 2.8% drop rate. And he had 313 yards after the catch.
Yeah, with Arroyo, he's a player that screams.
Are you sure it's not Arroyo?
Orion.
Orion. Oh, it's Orion.
Okay.
All right.
No, he's a player that screams potential. Now, if you look at the box scores, you're gonna be like, we're talking about a guy that like didn't even crack 600 yards this year, and you look at his other season, you're like, oh, he played 5 games, then 6 games, that like missed a lot of time due to injury, didn't put up monster numbers. And you're like, what about that screams potential? Because it looks disappointing on paper.
Does. Yep.
However, you watch his tape and you look at some of the skills that he has. And I think Arroyo, when he 6'5", 250, I think he moves. Like, I was worried before his measurements that he was going to kind of come in as maybe a little bit lighter, maybe a little bit shorter, because he moves like a player that would be like an undersized tight end.
He's a smooth athlete.
He's a very smooth athlete. And his usage was very sporadic in the Miami offense. There would be times where he just wasn't looked at, wasn't used. And then there would be times where they went to him in big moments and big games for big plays. But what I see with him is a true receiving upside threat. He's not somebody that I'm really concerned with how he's going to block. But at 6'5", he's got the 33-inch arms, but the 10-inch hands. He's got some big mitts to really bring in those red zone contested catch opportunities. You see him streak down the field. There's a lot of times that he's beating defensive backs. He's beating linebackers. He's beating safeties.
I wrote in here several times, like, he's a field stretching type of seam busting tight end.
Yes.
And he can really do that and win there.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think his skill set is built for today's NFL. And while there is a lot of potential bust in his game, I would like him, I think he has more long speed than he has like some of the quick twitch stuff. But I think the long speed is definitely there. I think he plucks the ball with pretty natural hands in his game. And there's some good stuff in his route running. And it's interesting too to hear all the reports that came out from the Senior Bowl, because you even watch his tape. You could see kind of the progression of his stats, but even his confidence and his usage and things like that improved over the course of the season. And I think part of that might have been just getting healthy. He finished his redshirt sophomore campaign injured,
torn ACL,
came back,
had a hard time coming back from that torn ACL.
He did.
The next year.
He did.
A hard time.
And so the first few games, he's still figuring things out. And he looked more fluid as the season went on. And then you watch some of the clips from the Senior Bowl, and everybody's talking about this guy was like unguardable. Right. Like, he's just making play after play after play. Now, granted, the Senior Bowls, those drills are kind of set up for pass catchers to succeed. But you saw a lot of other guys that just didn't.
And he also didn't work out at the combine or at his pro day because of a bone bruise that he got at the Senior Bowl.
So that's the biggest thing with him. So
that's what I'm going to, we got to circle back around to this health thing.
He is banged up often.
It's one of my top rubs at him. And why I had, like, Garrett told me, he's like, I was surprised you had him Arroyo so low. And I was like, I probably should bump up a tier, because like I do see the path.
The skill is there.
Yeah, but
he makes me nervous as hell.
He makes me very nervous as well. He has something that probably jumped the most in my rankings for sure, because there's a lot of things I like. But again, it's some of these hard ends are tight. You have to go off of like Matt said, projecting, because a lot of them just don't get enough involvement to see anything. So you're looking for how well they move, how do they get off the line, how good are their hands.
He checks a lot of boxes in all those respects.
Yeah, fluidity wise, like outside of Colston Loveland, he's probably the most fluid tight ends out of all these guys. So like, there's a lot there to like about him. I thought he had nice hands. I thought he was very fluid in his movements, but those injury concerns. I mean, they have the knee issue, but then have trouble with the knee at the following year where you only played 11 games in 2 years because of your knee. That's a huge red flag to me. That usually leans to problems down the road where like a Todd Gurley.
He's not
right?
quite at the Eric All stage, right? Who came in totally banged up,
Yeah,
but had some
always
crazy
hurt.
upside,
Yeah.
and then got hurt in his rookie season in the NFL. But he's close to me. Like he's on my list of people I'm very nervous. But I will take a risk on him at some point.
Yeah.
Because
the ceiling is there. He has definitely got a high ceiling.
I'm real curious to see where an NFL team is going to take him and risk on him because that's going to really judge my evaluation too for that path. Because again, I mean, it's not just the injuries too. I thought like his yards after the catch for his size was pretty non-impressive.
To your point though about the NFL draft kind of dictating, I think that's a great gauge because they have so much more information than any of us on all of these injuries.
Right.
And I'm sure this guy has been through a ton of kind of, obviously the combine checks, but then I'm sure all these guys, whoever's bringing him in on any sort of visits or anything like that, they're putting him through their own tests as well.
And like you said, Garrett, like he's a move tight end. These are tight ends you want to always gamble on. Like I don't want a guy that blocks. I mean, I can't remember who was one of the tight ends that we liked a lot. We're like, yeah, man, but he's also like a really good blocker. So teams are going like,
he might just end up falling into this blocking.
So they're probably going to have him just block. Even like a guy like, Darnell Washington coming out. Like, he can move pretty well for a big guy, but wow, he could block pretty well too. So they're probably just have him block. Like, you don't want that. You want to move tight ends so they go out there and catch football. So he does have that. And he kind of fits the mold of exactly what Garrett was talking about earlier. Like, if I'm drafting tight end, I want to get guys at the upside of being that move tight end. And he fits this bill to a T. Like when just watching him move. Mm-hmm. But there are a lot of red flags here. So I actually bumped him down in my overall ranks pretty significantly because of it.
I can understand that.
I just need to see more, and I want to see where he ends up in the NFL draft.
Agreed.
So
he's a guy
that moves the most.
He's a guy I'm keeping an eye on, and I can't remember exactly where I have him in my tight end ranks, but it's not as high as his talent would dictate.
Yeah, I think he's my tight end 5. Yeah, because I have 3, 4. He's tight end 5. I put him right behind TJ Giddens, and he actually ends the tight end group of what I only have 5 tight ends. I kind of
that you're even interested in, really.
And he's one of those. He's the last 5.
Okay,
of the 5.
Yeah, he's 4 for me. He's very close with Mason Taylor. We'll get to Mason Taylor next episode. He's really close with him, and just because I don't care as much about floor unless I'm taking him in like the first round. I care about ceiling.
Yeah. See, what's weird is I have Harold Fannin and Mason Taylor neck and neck.
Okay.
As 3 and 4. Like I can go either way. And we'll talk about
that. Makes sense. So Fannin's more your guy, or was a little bit more.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to our next tight end on the list.
Boy band alert.
Luke Lachey, Iowa tight end, 6'5" and 3/4, 251 pounds. Another 10-inch hand guy, 23 years old. He'll be 24 in June. He didn't run the 40 at the combine, but he ran the 20-yard shuttle at 4.47. He ran a 7.18 3-cone, 120-inch broad jump, 35-inch vertical. Last year at Iowa in 12 games, he had 28 receptions, 231 yards receiving, 0 touchdowns. He did that on 39 targets with only 1 drop for a 3.4% drop rate, and he had 99 yards after the catch.
Yeah, I think this is ridiculous. We have a tight end coming out of Iowa that's not a stud. That's not even a group of talking about guys I really want.
It's a Grandview, Columbus, Ohio guy.
Good for him.
So
yeah, I should like him more, I guess.
Take it easy. Yeah.
I don't know which one of those Lacheys, which boy band he was in, but I know he was in one of those boy bands.
Nick Lachey was in.
You would know.
I want to say it was Backstreet.
Sounds right. I don't know much about those guys.
That was kind of
I gotta look it up.
This was for the younger crowd. Like we were older by the time those guys came around, I feel like.
I think we were in high school when they were out.
Yeah, because I was around like 9, 10.
Isn't boy bands like for like 10-year-olds?
Yeah, for sure.
So we were older.
That is true. That's why Garrett's a big fan.
Yeah.
Listen.
Nope, 98 degrees.
I knew it was 98 degrees. I can remember the 98 degrees names. Name of the band. It's either Backstreet or NSYNC.
Isn't he from Ohio? Like Cincinnati or something like that?
The one guy that married Jessica Simpson is.
Yeah, I think that's him, isn't
Lachey?
it?
Yeah, Nick Lachey.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That's
from
what you're talking
Cincinnati. You guys keep talking about how much I know. You guys clearly know way more than I do.
Listen, Jessica Simpson was
Jessica
on MTV.
Simpson.
And she was pretty.
She was impressive.
Pretty.
She was impressive.
My nerd score would be high. And so for Luke Lachey, listen, not a lot of tape here. I mean, his career, 74 catches, 893 yards, 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
He's just one of those, like, he's
Slower footed
good size.
plotter
He's
guys.
he's an effort guy. He gives really good effort. And he's the kind of guy that can make a team. He's going to be a backup tight end that can get it done. If you throw the football to him, he's going to catch it.
Yep, I agree. He's a reliable target.
His hands are reliable.
He's not a difference maker. He's not going to be able to win off of his routes or anything like
I mean,
that.
his feet are heavy.
Did I say slow footed? Yes, I
Yeah,
think I said
heavy.
slow footed as my very first thing because he really is.
If you're looking for burst, well, you're going to be looking for a long time.
I don't understand why you run a 4.47 20-yard shuttle and you run the shuttle. Like just don't run those.
Yeah, that's
drills.
pretty bad.
Just don't run.
That's the nicest thing I could say about like Luke Shea. I mean, he's just not fantasy football.
I think he's going to be a guy that sticks around the NFL for a while.
Yeah, high floor.
Yeah.
Like high floor as a NFL tight end.
Yeah.
Like he's an NFL tight end. He's not a dynasty tight end.
He's
Right?
not a fantasy
Where
football guy.
Where I said I saw a path of like
Fine.
Terrance Ferguson. Like if you're going to be good, like I can see that path. I don't see that path at all at Luke Shea.
I didn't either. Yeah, I didn't see much in his game that I really liked, other than seemed very sure-handed, and that was really like the only real positive note that I had,
And that's like, hey,
which isn't bad.
and newsflash, the one thing I came away impressed with this class was all of them, for the most part, except one guy we're
Yeah,
talking
pretty
about,
solid hands.
they all have really good
Yeah,
hands.
they're
All
very
of them.
reliable. I felt like
natural pass catchers.
Yeah.
I kind of felt like a broken record when I was writing
Yeah.
notes in for the hands. I was like another guy that's very reliable hands, like nothing crazy, but he's going to catch most of everything that's thrown his way.
And
That's
that's
his
what
radius.
That's
He got a couple balls that were like away from his frame, and he brought them in. I was like, oh, nice catch.
and sometimes that's all you need to just have a Gary Barnage season, to have an Austin Hooper season,
Absolutely.
to have a sometimes that's all you need. So that gives all of these guys at least a morsel of a chance.
Yeah, exactly. So some of these guys are they're like Lachey's on my board, the very end of my board, but he's got good hands and he plays tight end.
I'll draft a running back.
I mean, by then I hope all the running backs are gone.
Never. There's always more.
No, Garrett, I'm in 6th round rookie drafts, and I promise you that at the end you're like, give me a name I know. Give me a name I know that isn't 5'7" and 140 pounds.
All right, last one.
Next one or last one, yeah.
we're done.
Thomas Fidone, Nebraska tight end, 6'5", 243 pounds. He has 10 5/8 inch hands. He's 22 years old. He's going to be 23 in September. He ran a 4.7 flat and a 1.57 40 and 10-yard split, respectively. He ran a 4.29 in the 20-yard shuttle, a 7.01 on the three cone, 126-inch broad jump, 35-inch vertical. Last year at Nebraska in 13 games, he had 36 receptions, 373 yards receiving, and no touchdowns. He did that on 47 targets, 1 drop for a 2.7% drop rate, and he had 163 yards after the catch.
Those are good numbers for a guy who's 6'5", 243.
Yeah, they are. He did. It's Nebraska. They're not going to put up big passing numbers ever. They're going to play grind it out 9 to 10 type games.
I think he might have been like second or third on the team with the 373,
which is
yards.
unfortunate. He's a stiff mover, but I was surprised that there is some leaping and some contested catch ability.
I thought it was
in his game.
number one asset.
Yep.
Like I could see him being like a sneaky red zone threat for a team.
I thought there was actually some sneaky athleticism or like burst to him.
I agree. I thought
in general.
I thought he was able
I
to take
think
his
so,
hips
just-
pretty well for being this
but
size.
it's still very linear. I didn't see much side to side.
Let's see what I have here on the. I was like more of a explosive type of athlete. I thought he ran some okay routes. I wrote that in there. I'm trying to in my brain picture it, and I can't for whatever reason. He's kind of falling into the crowd right now.
Sure.
A lot of times I could just picture what these guys are like
Yeah.
while we're talking, but
overall, like I was
upright routes. I did write that in there.
okay. So a little stiff.
Yep.
But I do think he's got enough explosiveness, enough go up and get it, enough and He had kind of like a little, I bet he played some basketball because he had a little bit of that basketball feel in his ability to be able to kind of go up and like a guy would get a rebound. So I bet I didn't find it necessarily in his profile, but like he looks like a player that has some basketball in his background. So
injury concerns there too. Missed his freshman year where redshirted. He had a red shirt. He hurt his knee in the preseason, missed an entire year. The following year in 2022, missed a whole year for another big time knee injury. So he's got
only had those 2 seasons.
Yeah, so he's got some knee injury issues there as well. But some good ball skills, pretty impressive like for his size, and kind of showed it for the combine too that he's able to sink his hips a little bit there and get out there. But again, not a lot of high. Like he's not going to be a guy who separates, run really good routes.
And he's another guy that's going to get drafted when, like the 4th round.
Probably even later.
Yeah.
What helped was he like for a Nebraska guy, he actually wasn't a great blocker. So
He actually had really good pass blocking.
oh, did he? Okay.
Really good pass blocking grade.
Okay. I didn't notice him in pass blocking necessarily as much.
I saw it, so I was watching. I was like, oh, yeah, he does actually do it.
I was looking at his like run blocking more so, and I didn't see much there.
I think him being lighter doesn't help. You know, he's like a 240 guy instead of like a 250 guy.
He's a little slim.
At 6'5", he looks kind of
Receiverish.
Yes.
Real good hands though.
Real good hands.
Another guy
He can go up and
big,
get it.
Big old paws.
Throw him in the group of guys that, hey, in the right situation, I'm interested. I mean, it might be regardless. I'm interested at the right point in the draft, but specifically if he gets anywhere with a shot, I kind of like him. I was surprised. I was pleasantly surprised because when I'm watching or I pull up a Nebraska guy, I'm looking at the stats. I'm not expecting to see kind of any explosion out of them, and I saw more than I was expecting. So
I agree with that.
I have him between Torrey Horton and Ricky White.
Okay.
Feels about right.
That's where I have him ranked.
Yeah.
Feels about right.
I mean, I would take him ahead of Horton, but I'm not a big Horton guy.
Again,
I was a Horton that heard a who.
Where are these guys going to end up? You know what I mean? Like they're all at the bottom of the list of a lot of running backs and some receivers. So that's it. We got 6 more guys to cover, and then we're going to be in a home stretch for the NFL draft because next week we're going to do 2 episodes.
Yep.
A mock draft. We're going to do probably 15 players and 15 players, somewhere around there.
Yep. And our Nerd Herd episode will be the guys that we missed. So you definitely want to sign up for that.
Then we'll be in New York. Watch the NFL draft. So we'll be tweeting stuff there, probably put out a couple videos. And then remember, we will record, as we always do, that Sunday of the NFL draft day. We record these episodes and we get them out. So we'll record in New York. Either Garrett upload them in New York or by the time when he gets home. But those episodes will be out on Sunday, ready for you. Because if you're like us, we have a lot of us. I'm not everybody, but we hold our rookie drafts, if you're in the Nerd Herd leagues, the Monday after the NFL draft. It starts 6 a.m. that Monday. So if you have a draft
6 a.m.
For the early birds, you want to get up, you have the 1-1. You don't want to wait around, right?
That better be West Coast time. What are you talking about?
24 time limit. I honestly want to start them on Sunday. If I wasn't working for Dynasty Nerds on Sunday, I would 100% just start my drafts on Sunday, but I need to be involved because I'm going to take off work on Monday to start a draft.
There you go.
So yeah, we'll have that out Sunday. So everybody will have our post-draft rankings in time. So that's it. Back tomorrow with our last 6 tight ends. We start off with a good one, Colston Loveland.
Adios.